Hey everyone, Greg Staley here of Diverge Media. Today we'll be talking about inflation. Aren't things just great out there? Aren't they just amazing? Aren't you doing better than you ever have under any other government? Isn't Trudeau the best thing to ever walk this planet? Aren't things under the Liberals better than they've ever been before? Sunny ways, everyone. Sunny ways. Let's get into it. Under this Liberal government, the average price for a two-bedroom apartment, according to the Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation, from 2015 to 2022, I believe is the data, was up roughly 42% for a two-bedroom apartment. Now, for those of you out there, know that's pretty standard now. We've watched things become completely unaffordable under this government. And the goal of today's video is to kind of go into some of those numbers to let everybody know really just how bad it's been. Now, if you were to take the government at their official numbers, it's not as bad as we all think it is. It's not as bad as what you're actually experiencing every day. It's pretty good out there according to the Liberal government anyways. But if we were to get into the official Bank of Canada numbers on inflation, they say their goal is 2% a year. And what we're running at right now, I'm going to just zoom in here. This is according to the Bank of Canada. If you had in 2015, if you had $100, the same basket of goods would now cost you, on average, $127.30. Now, these are official government numbers. Put this another way. If we put this another way, what you used to buy for $100 is now $127.30. That's as if, say, your purchasing power, your paycheck now buys 27.3% less than it did before Trudeau. And that's best case scenario. That's the government's official numbers. That's what we're supposed to go, wow, that's awesome. Pats on the back to the Trudeau government and the Liberals. I really feel like things are amazing under the Trudeau government. Now, I don't know about you, but 27.3% loss of your purchasing power is pretty bad. Now, we could get into another topic here about Bank of Canada saying their target for inflation is 2% annually. And that would bring us to 18% over Trudeau's 9 years. And they're way above that target at 27.3%. I digress. I don't think having an inflation target of 2% is a real good goal. I think it's kind of robbing consumers of their paycheck over time. But I digress. Best case scenario, government's own numbers, 27.3% less purchasing power than when they took power 9 years ago. Trudeau has seen your money become worth 27.3% less. Now, what does that mean? Well, we see it in some of the household items that we get on a day-to-day basis. We see it in things like our groceries, and we're just going to go through a list. This was, I think, Canada's Stats 150. From 2017 to 2024, this is a basket of goods, some regular things you might buy at the grocery store. Ground beef under this Trudeau government from 2017 to 2024 is up 38%. 38%. Something that used to be a staple in a lot of households is maybe now becoming not so much of a staple. Bacon up 15.8%. Chicken breasts are up 8.5%. 4 liters of milk up 25%. Another staple up 25%. Butter is up 38%. Eggs are up 39%. Potatoes 10.77% on a 10-pound bag. And the list continues to go. It's not a great list. It's the unfortunate reality Canadians have had to face as a result of this Trudeau government. Strawberries up 36.7%. Pasta up 32.6%. Canola oil is up 32%. Laundry detergent up 17.5%. And everybody's favorite, as a result of this woke government and their green radical agenda, gas on a regular per liter. Gas for regular per liter is up 43.75%. And we're supposed to believe it's never been better. We're supposed to believe that this is amazing under Trudeau. In fact, it's so amazing under Trudeau. He's done such a wonderful job that none of the country wants him anymore. In fact, even his own party doesn't want him anymore. That's right, the Ontario Liberal caucus, that's right, the Ontario Liberals, 50 MPs have called for Trudeau to resign. Now, we also watched recently, if you hadn't heard, the Atlantic Caucus, the Liberal Atlantic Caucus has called for the Atlantic Liberal Caucus has called for Trudeau to resign as well. So now you have Ontario and you have the Atlantic provinces calling for Trudeau to resign within his own party. And I think it's clear that Canadians are fed up. They've had enough. Housing, astronomically up. Food, astronomically up. Gas, astronomically up. But I want to cap this video off by saying, as you're struggling to make your day-to-day, as you're struggling day-to-day to make ends meet, Trudeau has been spending billions, with a B, billions of your dollars, sending it overseas for all sorts of goodies and handouts for other countries while you struggle. So while you get your GST holiday and you save $2 or whatever it was, and you save $2 or whatever it saved you at the grocery store on a handful of goods, while he hands out loonies and toonies to us, he hands out billions of dollars with a B to other nations. Now, we just want to kind of go through some of those things. Now, this is all encapsulated, or this is all covered in a thread we did on Twitter. You can check it out. And we kind of go through the foreign aid. So the government of Canada put out an official report stating that from 2022 to 2023, they spent $15.5 billion in foreign aid. And we kind of went through what some of those things were. And I have to bring this home because, again, Canadians struggling, food's up, everything is up. Everybody's struggling, but there's still $15.5 billion in the budget to send to other nations. We're not even getting into all sorts of other types of waste I'm sure we could pick apart, but let's just go through this foreign aid a little bit. Yeah, I'm still recording, yeah. Yeah, like right now. All right, so we go to the report from Parliament, international.gc.ca. In 2022 to 2023, Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, FIAP, continued to guide the delivery of Canada's federal international assistance programming, which totaled $15.5 billion in 22 to 2023. This was particularly important in a year where deliberate efforts were made to roll back progress on gender equality and the rights of women and members of 2SLGBTQI plus communities. So while you struggle, we have money to spend billions on a woke ideology. That doesn't benefit Canadians. But I digress. Continuing on, let's get a breakdown of what some of these numbers actually look like. Let's get a breakdown of where some of this money was spent. So in another thread we kind of went through a little bit of some of where this money went. And I think maybe it will be shocking, but probably not. I think we've come to expect this under this Liberal government, unfortunately. So let's start with Tanzania. Tanzania, as Canada's own healthcare system has been struggling to provide doctors and basic services, Trudeau committed $75 million to Tanzania to, quote, strengthen, quote, Tanzania's primary healthcare system for women and girls. Trudeau also sent $410 million to the World Bank International Development Assistance Program to improve gender equality in the renewable energy sector, as well as seeking to slow the expansion of coal in other countries. Now, what other goodies did our Prime Minister, who refuses to leave even though his own party and his own nation doesn't want him, what else did he spend money on? Trudeau also committed $223 million, $500,000 to the Canadian Climate Fund for the private sector in the Americas. The fund aims to, quote, catalyze private sector investment in climate change mitigation. Well, wait for it. Back to the gender woke ideology. Promoting gender-responsive, sustainable economic development. Isn't that great? I know you're struggling to pay groceries, Canada, but isn't it great that we sent $223 million to promote gender-responsive, sustainable economic development in the Americas? Isn't it great to know that we did that for other countries? Trudeau also committed $200 million to an organization that has a focus again in other countries, known as Grand Challenges Canada. He sent another $150 million on the Global Partnership for Education. One of the focuses of the program, ironically, is more teachers for developing countries. As our test scores plummet, as Canadian test scores plummet and teachers ask for more resources, our Prime Minister saw fit to send more money overseas for other teachers. But it's just par for the course with this Liberal government. Let us continue. What else do we got? We have Trudeau sending $125 million to the government of Ghana to, quote, modernize agriculture. And again, the project will be gender sensitive and climate smart. Isn't that great, Canada? Trudeau also sent $132 million of our taxpayer dollars for the African Development Bank Climate Fund. And again, apparently this project will also have a strong focus on gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. And last but not least, Trudeau sent $62 million of our taxpayer dollar. Trudeau also sent $62 million of your hard-earned money to the United Nations Population Fund to, quote, support countries in using population data to develop policies and programs that reduce poverty, to ensure every pregnancy is wanted. Isn't that great, Canada? Isn't that fantastic? All this money sent not to the benefit of Canadians. Well, food is up, gas is up, rent is up, housing's up. You can't afford to make ends meet, and your wages aren't going up. But we still got $15.5 billion for other nations. Isn't it fan-frickin-tastic, Canada? Now, I want to close out on one more because I think maybe we got two things we want to show you here. One more here we want to share with you is, again, from government grants and contributions, government website. You can check it out yourself. You don't have to believe our word. But shown in our Twitter thread here, why is Canada going broke? Because under Trudeau, Canada spent more money. Canada spent a ton of money on a very dumb, very woke agenda. And the epitome of this, just to put this into context, the absolute, it's a perfect symbolic representation of this Liberal government. Wasted money, spent not to the benefit of Canadians. Like, really very stupidly spent money, but also not benefiting even other people. Like, not benefiting Canadians while you struggle, but also not benefiting anyone else. Like, it's the perfect description and symbolism of this Liberal government. $16.5 billion with a B, $16.5 million spent on, you ready for this? Diarrhea research in Bangladesh. Canadians struggle while our government spends millions of dollars to study shit. It writes itself. Trudeau, unbelievable. Let's take a look at this. Just in case you think I'm pulling your chain. Institutional support to International Center for what do they use? The technical term. I can't even pronounce it. Diarrheal disease. I know I'm butchering it. Diarrhea research in Bangladesh. This project aims to provide institutional support to the International Center for Diarrhea Research. Bangladesh, a leading global health research center in Dhaka, Bangladesh. The mandate is to find low-cost, innovative solutions to public health problems facing low and middle-income countries through scientific research, developing research and scaling up innovations, delivering free healthcare, especially for women and children, and strengthening operations through investment research, technologies, human resources development initiatives, improve its effectiveness, efficiency, and long-term viability. So again, I just want to drive this home. $16.5 million to support diarrhea research in Bangladesh. $16.5 million for diarrhea research in Bangladesh. Isn't that the perfect symbolic thing to end on? Is that not symbolic of this Liberal government? The only thing that's maybe more hated in this entire country than our Prime Minister right now, the only thing that people may hate more is the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh. If there's ever been a bigger hypocrite in politics or elsewhere, I would love to see it. This is a guy that claims to criticize Trudeau and hold him to account, And meanwhile, he's the absolute only reason that our prime minister is still in power. If an election were called today, Trudeau's ass would be booted so far Trudeau would be booted so hard out of government that they may cease to exist as a party. Like, that's where we're at in Canada. And yet, we have to deal with Jagmeet Singh holding this prime minister to account by not holding him to account on anything and keeping him in power. The biggest hypocrite in all of Canada, perhaps more hated than Trudeau, simultaneously keep them in power, and we're pretty sure it's because of your pension. It's absolutely wild. I mean, maybe it's just because after Jagmeet Singh gets kicked out of government, and make no mistake, after the next election, he won't be the NDP leader if the NDP as a party has any brain cells, Jagmeet Singh will not be the political leader of it. That being said, this is like the last time he'll be important in his life, likely. Like, you'll never hear that, guys. No one's going to care. No one's going to care what Jagmeet Singh does after he leaves politics. Absolutely not. In fact, it would be the biggest blessing I can think of is when that guy finally is out of the public eye and I don't have to see his name anymore. Nothing worse than seeing somebody criticize somebody and simultaneously keep them in power. Oh, he's terrible, but that's why we're keeping him in power. Oh, he's hurting the country, but that's why we're keeping him in power. I mean, he doesn't say these things, but it's just the reality. But let's close on this video. This is Jagmeet Singh talking about all options. All options are on the table. I mean, all options except the ones Canadians care about. I mean, like, just do it. Do it.
And instead of focusing on these issues, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are focused on themselves. They're fighting themselves instead of fighting for Canadians. And for that reason, today I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go.
Non-confident vote on election. Just to clarify, she's going to ask the question, but my goodness gracious, Canadians are hurting. All options are on the table. Then call a non-confidence vote. Like, I'm sick of Trudeau, and I've been sick of Trudeau for 9 years. And I knew it was going to be a bad trip. As soon as he got elected, arguably because of legal marijuana, I remember those conversations in the work lunchroom. Oh, I never vote, man. I never vote. But, this is our one chance, legal marijuana. Like, woohoo, okay, whatever. 9 years, and quality of life has decreased so drastically under this prime minister. Only thing arguably worse than that is this guy coming out. Oh, the prime minister needs to go. Canadians are hurting. All options are on the table. You hold the power, man. All you have to do is vote non-confidence and call an election. Stop pretending it's anything else.
Will you declare no confidence in the Liberal government as soon as possible?
All tools, all options are on the table. People are hurting. People are struggling. And so all options are on the table.
Just to clarify, you're calling for him to resign, but you are not willing to vote no confidence in his government? How do those two things connect?
All options are on the table.
That's not an answer.
All options.
That's not an answer.
What does that even mean? It's like, oh, I can't with this guy. They don't. Can we just state how bad it is when even the mainstream media in Canada is like, that's not an answer. Like, you're not answering a very basic question. Like, just vote non-confidence in the guy. All options are on the table. That's not an answer. Even the mainstream media is fed up with this guy. Again, I can't wait till the next election when Trudeau's gone and this guy ceases to exist in political life and in the public eye. Because I guarantee you, like, we will not see much of him, if any of him, after he loses his seat, after he ceases to become a political party leader. Again, the NDP, if they have any brain cells, will be kicking this guy so far out of the party after this next election that we'll never see him in the public eye again. But I digress. Now, to be fair to Jagmeet, after that happened, he came out and said at the next available vote, I believe he said in the next session, he would vote non-confidence, which, by the way, just happens to push him through if they did it at the earliest convenience that was possible, past when he can collect his pension. I mean, I like to think he's not doing it for that. I'd like to think he has other reasons, but I really can't come up with any. It's pretty clear to every Canadian, like, this guy is either there because he likes to feel important or it's about money or both. But it's not because he cares about Canadians. It's surely not that. Because if it was, he would have already voted to get rid of this prime minister. So again, I'll leave it at that, but that's a good little video. Housing is up. Gas is up. Rent is up. Everything is up. Your food is up. Your wage, though, hasn't really come up. Under Trudeau, your dollar purchase is 27.3% less than it did when he was elected, according to the government's own data. I don't really think it's that low, but best case scenario, you're able to buy about 30% less under Trudeau. I'm Greg Staley of Diverge Media. Like this video, comment, help support our work, and we will have more videos like this coming out. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe. That helps us, and we'll see you next time.